I'll let the floor to Carsten. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the invitation and thanks for the introduction as well. Actually, this is exactly what you said is what we're going to show now. So I'm Carsten Beard, I'm the market art director at Nordeus, and my talk about is bringing a spellcaster to life. Just brief overview, we're from Nordeus, we are based in Belgrade. We are founded in 2010, and we have at the moment two games. So we're a free-to-play mobile company. We have two games. One is Top 11, a football managing game that is running for several years and still growing super strong. And we have a current game called Spellsalt, and it is a player versus player high fantasy game, and it's currently in soft launch. And we're like 166 people, and a lot of foreigners as well, a lot of Serbians, and we try to make the best games on the market. And my question first for everybody here, who is a gamer in the audience? Just raise your arm, please. Just 1, 2, 3. It's Branko. And, okay. Anybody playing mobile games? No? That will be very interesting now, because we're talking about mobile games. And we're talking about our game Spellsalt. And Spellsalt, as I mentioned before, player versus player, card-based game, and it's about spellcasters. Basically, you as a player, you choose one of your spellcasters. And this whole talk will be about the beautiful lady here called Emerald. This is our spellcaster, and I talk about the creation process, how we generated the brief, what was important about the brief, and how we then took her to concept phase. We put her into game with animations playing, and then how we bring her to marketing. And it's a really interesting point here that those three spellcasters were the main spellcasters we had. The guy in the middle, it's called Mordrake, and he is the evil mastermind. He is bad, mean, evil. The other guy over there is Rule. He is the fighter, the meaning, raging Hulk with a lot of emotions. And we had to try to find a character that is different than those two. Now we'll talk more about brief. That's why we decided to make Emerald. And to get you more an impression what the game is about, please take a look. So that is the game, and you have seen it's a high fantasy game. You have your characters on the sides, you have cards, and you have your armies, which are your minions, and you power up your minions to defeat the other spellcaster. That's why it's player versus player. This talk will now, this is a brief overview, just show you the certain steps we did for creation for Emerald. It's from idea to concept, then from concept to game, how we do it. A lot of stuff will be a bit technical, but I don't want to be too precise on it, just to give you an overview how we create it. And the next one is how we take the game character and bring it into marketing. That exactly we keep the persona, and then how we show gameplay, emotion, and the character to our consumers and to our players. And the last one is questions and answers, if you have any questions at the end. So, the idea to concept. So we had two major spellcasters already, and we needed something else. First of all, it was important that it's a female. So we have two male characters, and now it's a female character. Also, as I mentioned before, Rule, a lot of emotions, angry, furious, and a lot of red and orange. Then we have the more calculated, cool, but very evil persona of Mordrake. He is a bad wizard, very similar to Saruman. Now we find something else that those typical personas are defined now. What is the next one that we could do? And we decided find somebody or find a persona that is like a caregiver.
that is somebody who is protective. So we decided to go for an archangel, very holy, very deep in her beliefs, but you always need a twist to everybody. So Emerald, in the character brief at the beginning, was very important. She knows just black and white. Either you're with her or you're against her. But her beliefs are so strong that she believes she's always right. And this is where we have to put in the little nuance or twist of the character to say sometimes she snaps and gets a bit over angry. And this is very important when it comes to the spells and so on, because a person that is very deeply holy is very calm, but she is not at one point. She is calm to a certain point, and then she is furious and she rages. She unleashes the spells to everybody. And so this is also important, that this is a downside. This is important for the character brief to decide. We have to give the audience an impression on the first sight, hey, I can trust this girl. I like her, I know what she stands for. But we always have to put a little hint in there to say, she's a fighter as well. And this is then when we had the brief done, so this was the initial brief, we started concepting phase. In the concepting phase, we decided what is the color scheme of the character, what is her look, what is her appeal. Sure, she has awesome wings, and we decided we go for white because it stands for holiness, and for gold because it's also noble and anything else. And here you see these are the initial concepts for Emerald, where the guys from the game team started to make decisions how should she look. She already got her spear. The spear is important for animations and for her spells, gameplay-wise. And design decisions already put in place. And when we have the initial concepts, we also start then do variations of it. So these are the variations of her. And now you see there's a wide field of variations. We have the starting point where she is very close to the initial concept. And then when you look at number H, she looks very different. She has a different hairstyle, different appeal. She looks more Asian to a certain degree. And that is very important that we offer a lot of variations where the game art director then can decide this is the area where I see Emerald, this is the character that fits perfectly design-wise and based on her persona fits into our game. I would highly suggest to look at number A or letter A, and then this is the final concept we went with when we said this is her, this is how we imagine her appear in our game. She has a spear, she still has all the elements, and after the final concept is approved, we start the production for the game. What we then do, we try to bring 2D to 3D, which means in our case we use ZBrush, it's a sculpting software, to generate a basic model of her. So this is the final model in ZBrush. So she's already there in 3D, we can move her around, we see how everything works. So, and this is a high-res sculpt. The high-res sculpt means we have a lot of detail, we had a lot of polys and so on. This is some technical stuff, but this amount of detail we cannot fit into the mobile game and not into the engine. So we have to rework the character, but we defined her look and her feel. This is now what we do. We have to retopologize the mesh, make it more simple, that everything works into the game, and then to preserve the details and anything else, we have to do textures. So first of all, the color is the albedo. The normal map basically gives you, on a low poly mesh, gives you a lot of details. So you see that, for example, the details here on her lower legs is very obvious that there's an ornament and so on, that the metal parts really are displayed. The specular map shows you the difference of material, so it's more shiny or less shiny. And the emissive map shows you basically stuff that is glowing. This is then the early version of a pre-game model. Everything is there. You see how we try to keep the character always consistent to everything based on the concept. And also what we do here, what we have to do, you saw our game has a specific game camera. That's why we have to change the proportions, that the character always looks appealing based for the game camera. And this is a very important point for later. This is when we put her into a game environment, and you see everything is basically already there. She has a spear, she has a persona, And also, what I mentioned before, when we talked about color scheme, you also saw already she has red hair. And this is when it comes to design concepting to show the breaking point of the character. So she's holy, she's everything fine, but she has this red hair, which on a subconscious level gives you a hint that there's something else going on, that she's a warrior as well. And then we decided, and this actually then is the final game model that you saw in the trailer before. And after this one is approved and she's in the game, then it comes to marketing. So the gameplay itself reflects her persona very well. And now we in marketing, we have to decide, because you saw already the low poly mesh, you saw it's difficult to keep the details and so on and so on. And in marketing, we have to decide what we do with the character to keep both things, keep the essence of the game and be very appealing to our audience. That's why we talk now game to marketing. This is just a workflow step. I hope you don't mind. It's just showing how we take like the ZBrush sculpt you saw at the beginning with the game character proportions, and we modify it to proportions that are more appealing and that we can use for multiple camera angles. And also because we need, in marketing, we need to pose her. We need to tell the story. We need to go back to the initial briefing to show this is what the character is about. This is appealing. This is the character you should play with. And when we have done all the stuff, we basically rework a lot of elements. We rework not the design, but we enhance the design a lot when it comes to details, sometimes design, overall, how parts fit together, and so on and so on. And then we have to bring it into our 3D software, which is at the end Maya, so we can use we can use the render and use it for cinematic, use it for high-end marketing material. And when this whole work is done, then Emerald not come just to life in the game, then she comes to life in marketing as well. And at the end, this is what Emerald looks for marketing. So here you already have seen we leveled her up a lot. More detail, more intense, like she becomes really to life in this case. And also the textures are much bigger than for a game. We have to create a hair, we have to create new materials, new shaders. There's a lot of work into it to bring this character to life. Here you see the more detailed armor. Everything is very kept based on the initial concepts and also based what the game idea was. But we started to level her up. We started adding more elements. And also what is the difference to the game character at the moment, where it's important to say, we at Nordeus, everybody works together. From the game team, the marketing, because we work on one product. And if we in marketing decide, for example, to add shoulder armor, then we give it back to the game and they implement it in the game. Because the other characters in the game got really good and developed very quick, and also had more and more details, and she was one of the first characters, so we had to level her up as well. And some more pictures to show like the density of detail as well. So this is the front view, back view. And this is like the detail level. And here's also something that's important what we talked about before. She is a character that is ruling also deep beliefs, which means she comes from heritage of holy, from a holy order as well, and she's ruling the Sky Palace. So when we have the initial shapes, we can now add elements that gives you that she is somewhere in this world where history already happened. And then more details. And also the design got translated from concept to game to marketing. And here even more details.
How long did it take you to develop these details?
That's a secret. Now, those details actually, it's because we have the basic idea, and those details are sometimes reflected what is the ornaments in the game, what the initial concept idea was, and then they are displayed here. This is like just to show her that she is the warrior archangel. She's not just a random character, she has a persona. And this persona is very important, that the player says, wow, I want to play this character. Because we have a really raging Hulk guy, and everybody says, wow, he is really cool, and he has fire, what the archangel has to offer. Well, I think she has a lot to offer, and she looks really good. When it comes to the another turntable, just to see how much we try to bring this character to life, which means level of detail, texturing, design, and shape language as well. And this is very important for us, for marketing side, when it comes to cinematic production, how she looks in environment light. So now it's very obvious, we have like a standing character and everyone says, well, when she comes to life. And this is actually what I want to talk with you next point. When we have created this character for marketing, we have multiple options with her. We can render her perfectly in 3D for cinematic approach, or we can say we like a comic style, or we can say we like illustration style. And what I would like to do now is to show how we take a character that is like in T-pose and looks nice and beautiful, but when she comes to action, when she comes to life. And this is actually what we do now. And I talk about the process, how we use the 3D assets in our production pipeline and create a key art that really displays the essence of the game and what the characters are about. And I'm talking about the characters. Emerald was just an example. So basically how we start, very simple, basic sketch, color sketch. Next up is like 3D block out, then we light the scene, see what looks best, and at the end, a lot of overpaint and illustration. When we start with the initial sketch, what is the initial sketch about? It's very simple. We have two main spellcasters fighting each other, means player versus player. We have our Ghoul guy, big angry guy with fire, and we have Emerald. She's coming from the sky, telling what is an archangel. We cannot place her on the ground, either she is beaten, but she is really getting into the fight. She is coming. This is the point I was talking about. She's not holding back anymore, she's fully unleashing. Also, you see the environment in the background, and this is her sky palace. The game team did an awesome job creating the sky palace for the environment in the game, and we wanted to feature it, to show it to the players. What we also have is like the minions. The minions are our armies in the game, what you saw already. We have the swordsman, we have the archer, and we have the tanks. These are your units that you power up. And also we have to show some spells. So these are all the initial ideas that go into the sketch. And the overall ideas show the world. What happens in this world, and how can we make a piece that everybody says, wow, I want to play that game. Color sketch, very simple, color sketch aside. Because rule, a lot about fire, a lot about lava, orange versus blue. And then the final color sketch where we decided to put in the environment to show epicness, to show depth. Not just clouds, nobody knows where it's placed. No, it's a sky palace, and this is how it looks on a third level that you see, wow, what happens in this world. 3D blockout. 3D blockout is very important to keep consistency for our product, that everything is very similar, and that we get correct light. Now we put this transition from sketch to 3D, and everything is placed based on the sketch that we had, and then we can make adjustments later. This is how we light the scene now, and there's nothing special to it, just because it's how to apply the light. You will see how it will change, because this is the initial light, and we have to enhance a lot in the illustrations to really kick it. But the initial information is very, very important, that everything is set up from the beginning. So this is the...
Also, I think it's when you say there's nothing special to it, I think it's more special too, but never mind. Okay, we'll come to it later on.
Just don't get me, it's absolutely special. But the initial lighting is just the basic level of information. And now we get, because this shows you now the process from the first overpaint to the final overpaint, and then you see what the render couldn't do at this point. First overpaint, you see everything is there already from start. Second overpaint, still we're missing the environment, but we got the god rays behind her, where now it comes the light information get enhanced more and more and more. Also we have the fire, the flames, really getting more and more aggressive. And this is also important where like a lot of art direction is sometimes necessary, where we, especially for marketing art director, we have to do a lot of work to show the guys really the direction where we want the final piece to be when it comes to emotion, expression, and also the level of aggressiveness and playfulness. Here you see, when we talk about light, the light changed, right? Again, it got more and more detail, the environment is there. Really, the picture gets together and it develops really his essence. What is it at the end? What we want to try to sell. We want to try to sell epic fighting scene, emerald coming down from the sky, joining the battle, rule already like awesome, spell on the ground, we have lava everywhere. It's not chaos, it's like an organized fight, but it's aggressive. And this is the final version. And here you see, again, the light becomes in the process super important. Because now we have the light in the background, and also I can show you the previous version. When you see here, there's a lot of fire was missing. So marketing and art direction-wise, we added the fire. And also composition-wise, when you see how then really like pumps the picture exactly to the point where we want it to be. And just force them back like a little bit to show. So that is really important. And this is the final key art that we then create to promote our game, because it shows all the main pillars of our games. We have the spellcasters fighting, we have player versus player, we have an awesome environment, a world to explore, we have the spells displayed, there's magic, there's mana, and also you show their armies, their soldier that you basically power up in your game. And then just a little side note, what we can do at the end also is to create marketing artwork as well, for Facebook, for social media, for everything, based on one artwork that sells the story and brings the characters to life. And that is then the end of my talk, and if you have questions, please feel free. Thanks.
All the time, sorry, yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. All the time while I was talking, actually, I was completely and utterly flabbergasted at his understatement. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and it's got a whole world being created in front of our eyes, a little bit of that. So, how many of you actually knew what's involved in creating a game like this? Okay, not a lot. How does it feel now? How much work, creative work, how much thought, creativity, attention to detail, research, because my question about how long did it take actually, because you must have done tons of research, you know, to see actually how different patterns on the shield may look like in various kind of different kinds that you played with.
Yes.
How much research went into it as well. And then the final result, talking about the Archangel's name.
Emerald.
With name, Emerald.
Emerald.
The final version, I could not tell that that's a fake character. It looked like a photo of a real person. How many of you actually have noticed that? It looked like a real person actually. And the face. Can you talk about why exactly that face? Can you go back to her face? Well, I think it's really clever how you've done it. That you compose. Well, I'm actually talking about this. We're talking about a real person. I mean, virtual real person. There you go.
Yes.
So, how many people can tell here that that's not a real person on this picture? Everybody? Really? And it's just me. Okay? Because if I didn't know that that's created, I wouldn't be actually sure whether that's a fiction character, virtual character or real character. It looked perfectly real to me.
Yeah.
It could have been a still shot from Games of Thrones, something like that. Easily. So, yeah, go on.
I'm sorry, I might be wrong, really. But maybe like her right eye is going a bit
Her right eye.
The left eye or the right eye?
Everything is possible.
So, so there's always one person in the audience who's going to notice those kind of things, right? And then you put it on YouTube. What really kind of amazes me is the face. You probably did have, I don't know, 10, 50 different expressions, different faces that you actually started experimenting with. Because her face had to show beauty, but also resolve,
Yes.
strength, some of the characteristics and the character traits that you mentioned. So she can be so religious and fundamentalist at times that she completely loses it and becomes exclusive. All of that should be kind of shown on the face. There's lots of very subtle nuances that the face needs to show and
Yes.
just set up the viewer and the gamer for all those behaviors that she may exhibit later on. That's lots of decisions.
Yes. That's why we have a marketing art director.
So, can you talk about
Yes.
exactly that difference?
I can talk about, because you were totally right. So the game team did an amazing job bringing this character to life for the game. And the job that we have in marketing is to understand what is the character about and how we can visualize it on the next level. And this was basically where we talked about, and the face had a lot of progression already from in the game and on previous marketing models that we created. And what was really important is actually all the points you mentioned. We needed to find a face that covers all those emotions and that you see on the first sight, I get it. On an emotional level, you get her straight away. So this was very important. Finding the face was actually not that difficult at the end because we had a very clear brief. So you look in basically at the end what you do, or what we do, we're looking at a lot of references and we need to find the features.
Yes.
Because everything is like telling the story. It's about shape language of the face itself.
Yes.
It's like
So,
how
I think it's a very, very important phrase. Shape language of the face. Shape language of the face. It's a really important phrase. So did you pick a chin from somebody and a nose from somebody or not?
At the end, it's kind of this, because you look like a lot of references, and then you gather those references and say, okay, I like the shape of her nose. I like how it's connected. I like the shape of her mouth. I like the overall shape of the head. And then we find a face that is kind of close to it.
Okay.
And what we then do, then we modify it. So this is very important. So we had the face, she was already, so the eyes and the nose at the beginning of the face was really like clear. She was straight away, we saw, then that's the face. But for example, her cheekbones. Cheekbones.
Or the chin.
Yeah, the chin and the cheekbones.
The cheekbones, yeah.
And everything was like a little bit too big.
Okay.
So basically what we did at the end, we took the ZBrush model of the face and we modified the proportions and the shape language. Then you rotate it, you see that she becomes not so strong in the face, more subtle, more calm.
It is subtle, and also I've noticed how you have freckles there, but again, not very prominent.
Not prominent. This is also like one of the ideas because based on the initial brief, she was also red-haired, not just a design decision. Also, red-haired people have some freckles as well, and we can bring those textures in as well. Because what is this? You see in the shader that the skin, it always repeats itself. The skin is very clean, so there's no folds or something, nothing weird, nothing where the skin is like destroyed. But she has those little freckles.
Human touches.
Yes, human touches is very important because one thing that's very important when it comes to faces for characters, especially for marketing, everybody sees faces all the time. So if the slightly thing is wrong in the face, you as a viewer, you're like, I don't feel connected to this person. I don't know why, what it is, I just don't feel connected. That's why it's very important that you create a face that everybody connects straight away. That there's no question about anatomy, shader, texture, something else. It's really like you look at her and you get her. Like if you would meet her in real life. If she would come in here, you would like, I understand what she's about. Like you usually do when you look at faces. This is the goal.
Pretty much so. Any questions? Yep.
From the initial brief to the marketing to the approved version of character.
Yes.
What was the time frame that you needed to create it?
For marketing character or for game character?
For the approved character for the game.
For the game, that takes a long time. Because you saw the variations at the beginning, and there are much more. And there are even much more variations when it comes to the character creation for 3D. So everything has to be adjusted. I actually can't tell you how long it took for this character, but I would say usually a character creation from concepting would be around a month. The creation for the game character is usually around a month. So this is the frame, but then I can add a lot of variations at the end.
So the second question, right behind you, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have any nude pictures of her?
Actually, I have a ZBrush scope where she's nude.
You talked about character and heritage.
Yes.
But I heard sex. I mean, you didn't pronounce it. And when you are building her,
Yes.
do you keep in mind your target group? And what is your main segment of your target group?
Yes, the main segment of the target group.
I mean, does it sex sell still?
Oh, and now we have to be careful here. Important for this character is that she's not boring, that she has on a sub-level sexiness, that you know she's sexy. That's why the face itself is kind of sexy. The way her body proportions are built is kind of sexy. The way she dresses is kind of sexy. But it's not like an obvious sexiness that's straight in your face. You say, oh, she's like sexy. It's very on a low level, but you feel it. And that is very important. On a subconscious level, you have to feel that this is there. That there must be a desire, first of all, to play the character, like the character, and then enjoy to watch the character. But this also matters for Rue and all the other characters. Even for a man, Buffy, sexy.
There's one question there, and then one.
I also have one question about the target group.
Mm-hmm.
Did you target especially female gamers or future female gamers? And what is the main reason for having the female character in this film? Is it some kind of tendency towards gender equality or pure sex sells?
It's not sex sells, she's not selling sex. Overall, we target male players in this area. I think it's from 20 to 45, and these are male players, I think exclusively even, because these are the target group that play those games, player versus player. But I also think when it comes to marketing side, I think we should appeal to everybody as well. So we have the main target group, but I think there's always certain, because you can do it very like poor, executed, and I'm a high fan of doing like well executed approach to both of them. So this is all about quality, right? Because you can do, this character can be super cheesy and super over-sexualized, and the males as well. There is a lot of stuff out there, but this is not what this game stands for, because this game has high quality aspirations, but yes, sexiness is very important as well, to sell it on a subconscious level, but not over-sexualize, never. Does it make sense? And also why characters, it's for the decision making is making on the gameplay. So if you have just like beefed up Hulk characters, it doesn't fit any player, because you just have certain people that like to play aggressively and destroy a lot of stuff. You have certain players who are more sneaky, who try to suck spells from somebody, and then you have other players who like to enjoy playing with female gamers, that because she in the gameplay, for example, she heals a lot of people. So her spell magic is basically healing and helping. And a lot of people have this as well. That's very important, to cater to all the player types. Okay?
One question there.
First of all, I want to thank the organizer to bring you as part of your team, if I understand.
Yeah.
Because it's a great privilege to really have a chance to listen
Mm-hmm.
as insider. What I'm interested in, sorry if I'm not correctly informed, I know that you start in 8 markets as a soft testing. And can you tell us, do you have some response which are related to characters? Do you have any feedback you think that it would require any change? And for the next release of the games in future, do you have also idea to grow the number of characters like this one which you described?
Yes. So overall, yes, we do a lot of testing for the game itself and for marketing as well. And we do a lot of A/B testing also when it comes to the characters as well. So at the moment we have this game running in Canada for soft launch, and it's only in Canada. And so we test the gameplay. And by the way, we have a lot more characters already, and a lot of characters in the pipeline as well. So at the moment we have 5 characters actually, and we're working on for marketing also on 5 characters, and more are coming and more in the pipeline to give the player also more variation to choose from. Player style and character they can associate with. And when it comes to character testing, I hope this is the right way to answer it. That's why I sometimes choose Emerald, because we have you saw the first characters, the big rule, the other one, and like 2, 3, 4 other characters as well. And Emerald, for example, in every testing that we did with users, was the least liked character ever. Everybody was like, I like the beefy dude. I like the spell lord, kind of darkness kind of guy, he's awesome. But this angel girl doesn't look cool. So this was like consequent. And this is also what we did here, because she was one of the early characters, which was shown in the testing we did with her, that we had to know that all the other characters, design-wise, leveled up during the game, and she was still in the old level, and that's why we leveled her up as well, and then she got more and more equal. And this is what you actually want to achieve, that all the characters, that you don't have like one character everybody plays, you have a lot of characters everybody wants to play. And this is, testing shows a lot of those stuff. But I have to say, testing is very good, and because it tells you what is wrong, but you as a company, you have to find a solution how to fix it and how to give it to the player what they want, because that's why we're here. We want to make the players a game that they enjoy to play. Does it make sense? Yes, thank you.
Any more questions? I got the final one. if that's
Oh,
okay.
the final one.
How would you, I have to use that very long word, sorry, but you know what I mean, anthropomorphize something that is not a person. So you've got a table lamp,
Yes,
a coat hanger,
yes,
but you want to actually to imbue it with human qualities, that
Yes.
it behaves and reacts to a stimulus in a human way. What would you do?
You talk about design-wise or animation-wise?
Animation-wise.
Well, I think Pixar did a good job with everything.
That's exactly what I'm asking you, because
Yeah.
the ultimate magic is to get something that is not even on the screen, not
Yes.
a person, but an object, but make it look like a person that we actually fall in love with, and we care about the destinies in the film and everything else.
Yes, I mean, what was Wall-E? Was it Wall-E?
Yep,
Come on.
exactly.
This was like
Excellent.
done to perfection, actually. So this is also when you have an object. I think there are 2 ways, I think. The first one is shape language. Shape language.
Shape language.
Yes, and
What is shape language?
shape language and design means basically that you as a consumer have an association with the emotional direction of the character. So which means like round forms, aggressive forms, nice forms, whatever you want to achieve with the character has to be displayed in the design. So if it's very cubic, maybe it's not so appealing, but it can be appealing. So you have to find a way. Big eyes always help, like a lot.
Yeah.
And then, no matter what it is, because if you talk about like a lamp, for example, when you talk about a Pixar lamp,
Yeah.
it reacts and it behaves like something that we know. This is also important. If you then do an animation or something else, do something everybody understands on a basic level. And that is like natural behavior. I think authenticity is very important, and then capture the essence what you want to say. This is what I would say. But yeah, just look Wall-E and then you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I would strongly recommend. It's a very, very good example. It's absolutely probably one of the best. Like a person.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more live and alive than probably. Any questions?
That's it.
No. I can just say a huge thank you to Carsten, Björn, and the team from Nordeus for being here today and actually letting us a little bit into this, as you can see, absolutely magical and immensely complex world of creating things that didn't exist and make them kind of feel and look completely live on the screen. And this is kind of the other side of the spectrum from Linea, which is only one line that actually does exactly the same. It just shows that the spectrum is huge. We can start very, very simple, or we can go with the modern technology into very, very complex ways and make characters and make games and cultural properties that actually make millions of people spend time with and resonate with. It's a big magic, it's a big skill. So Carsten, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
5 minutes break for coffee, and then we are going to do the last and probably the funniest session of the day. Thank you. There you go. Thanks so much. That was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, guys.
Because a lot of people in the audience wouldn't have had the chance to literally know how you do it. And for many of them, it was like, fuck. Whoa. Great. Absolutely brilliant.